Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be doing another video here about New World, and today is an update video. I know the internet's abuzz right now because Amazon Studios there decided they were going to move the game launch further down the road. And I know I did a past video saying that I thought Amazon was going to meet their obligation and hit the May 26th deadline. It looks like they're not going to be making that deadline. They're not going to be opening the servers for beta anytime soon. I'm actually going to bring up here the actual official release of the information. That's all I did was took what they put on the internet as their update and put it in a Word document so you can read it for yourself. But the gist of it is they're not going to release the game until it looks like August 25th. And, they're hoping to open, obviously, they're hoping to open it up for beta. So if you look for the last paragraph, we would like to thank our alpha players for helping us make a better game. The alpha will remain open. That's good. And they might actually give more alpha keys away during this time. So as they're developing the product more, they might open it up for keys. So just if you've pre-ordered this game, then just watch your email with hopes that they send you an alpha key. And then it goes on between now and launch. It's between now and our launch on August 25th. We'll continue to share details and features and contents going into the game. Well, I don't know. I mean, they keep on saying that. They keep on saying we're going to share stuff. But if you compare what they share versus every other MMO development ever, they don't share much. It seems like it's that old Western you watched as a kid and the tumbleweed just keeps on turning and turning and turning and turning. And it's like, guys, give us something. And it's made so many people nervous at this point that the forum, that's why I got the forums in the background, the Steam forums in the background, because you're going to see for yourself, it's blowing up. People are upset. And I can understand a level of frustration, but the level of some people's upset meter is just ridiculous. It's like almost like a little kid having a tantrum. To me, there's plenty of video games out there in the world that you can be playing right now. Plenty of free video games out there on the internet that you can be playing. So to actually be so crazy upset about this one being delayed just seems silly to me. There's so much going on in the world. And they're using in the first paragraph of the statement, they're using that, the virus that's out there and about, that's what's causing the delay. And there's so many people on the forums that are saying that's just a excuse. You don't have a real game. You knew you didn't have a real game. You're just using it as a delay tactic with hopes by August that you actually have a game. And I'm not going to get into that kind of craziness. It is what it is. They either could say it was the virus that delayed them, or they could come out and say, look, we just need more time with the coding. There are many people on the forums that believe that if it just stayed a PvP game, if it stayed what it originally was, it would be released by now. Because they had all that in the bucket. They had all what they needed in the bucket. It was the, what they're calling the Care Bear crowd, the PvE crowd during Alpha that steered them in a different direction, and that Care Bear crowd is what's killed their game. The PvPers are saying, you guys killed our game, we would have had it by now, we'd be playing it by now, why the developers listening to you? Well, I think the developers listened to alpha players because they were afraid it was going to be like Rust. And I don't think that's what they were trying to accomplish, where you got 5 or 6 people just trying to do their own thing and a guild of 20 just keeps on killing them over and over and over again. That's only fun for the group of 20. That's only fun for the gankers. And if you think you can have a long-lasting game that is just a gank fest, then come on, you're crazy. That's just not how people want to play games anymore. That might have been a great novelty 3 or 4 years ago when all these survival games hit the market. But as you can see now, that many of the survival games have lost their player base. People want to play a game that has some longevity to it. Like World of Warcraft is a prime example. And granted, you could use some argument saying that World of Warcraft was highly in the PvP because they had PvP servers, they had PvE servers, And some people have come out to say, look, Amazon, why don't you just do that? Why don't you have a ganking server, a PvP gank fest server, and have a PvE server for those Care Bears that want to do that? Well, the problem is when you do that, you're breaking up your community base. And that's not what they're trying to do. They want to make sure that everybody can play together. And granted, they're saying now that the servers are only going to hold 1,000 people per. I imagine that's going to be opened up. I can't imagine why Amazon could not have 2,000-3,000 people on a server. I mean, from my understanding is Amazon, as it comes to server farms in the world, they have a lot of server farms. They have a lot of bandwidth capacity. I mean, they do a lot of data exchange behind the scenes. I mean, outside of the Amazon store that you buy your toilet paper from, they have server farms all over this world that is moving data for hospitals, banking, you name it, they're moving data for people. And so to think that their video game is going to cap out 1,000 just seems silly to me. I think it's going to be a lot more than that. So you can read it for yourself. This is this is not new information. It released yesterday. I just wanted to let the internet settle down before I made this video. I want to tell everybody that it's going to be all right. Now, I want to minimize the Word document, and as you can see, I'm just going to hit this discussion just to refresh it. You can see for yourself, if you go to the New World Steam forums, what people are talking about. And, you know, you got people wanting to buy alpha keys from people because they just want to play this game. People are making an argument that please just open beta. I just don't see that happening. If they are in a situation where they need more time, I don't think they're going to open it up for a whole bunch of people to get in there. Because I think what Amazon, I mean, I know Amazon lost a lot of refunds yesterday. There's no doubt about it. And I know Steam lost some refunds to this game. And people all day long yesterday, refund. That's fine. If you don't have that much money and you want to play a video game, get your money back now. Go play a different video game. I'm in the camp where $40 or $60 isn't going to make or break me. That's just a night out with a couple drinks. I mean, really, I don't care if they have my money indefinitely until the game releases. I'm not in that camp where I need it to go pay for a different game. If I want to go play a different game, I'll go do that. But again, there's a lot of free games out there, so you should be able to find something that's free to hold you over for the next few months, or you could spend the next few months griping on the forums if that's what you want to do. I mean, whatever you want to do to make your life happier, then do so. But don't be rude about it. Don't be what my father used to call an ass clown. Just don't be that. Don't be the guy that's just stirring the pot, because it's not helpful for anybody. Because eventually you might be on the same server as these people. And you don't want, you just don't want what your craziness on the forums to reflect who you are in the game. That's basically how I want to put it. And you got people that are saying that MMOs are really meant for PvP action, that really these Care Bears PvE people, what are they really about? Do they really even stay in an MMO? Because at the end of the day, they're saying that in the end of the day, the PvPers are what's left behind. I don't really believe that. I played a lot of MMOs, and I would say that most of the people that I've played in MMOs were PvE players, and they're still playing those games today. And they love the games. For example, let's talk about World of Warcraft. I know I keep on bringing that up, but with the raid and the dungeons and the way you play together, those are what brings longevity to a game, is that inner community. So if you're in a community of all gankers, then I just think that gets old quick. I mean, there's so many first-person shooters out there. There's so many different kinds of survival games out there. There was no need for Amazon to make another one. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I don't need a lot of slam hate on my comments below, but I just want to point out that I think they could manage both PvP content and PvE content, and, and mix the Care Bears with the gankers. And hopefully that kind of works out. The way I look at it is I would never play this game the way it was before. I would have never done it. Full loot, drop. I played Rend. And if you ever played Rend, that's what that game was. And it was a fun game. It was a fun game for 3 months. And then I was done with it. You go out, you fight people, and if they killed you, they got everything that you were holding. And then you'd go back to your town and re-equipped and go back out into the world and hopefully get something done before somebody ganked you, killed you. And I played that game for the PvE aspect or the building aspect, where you had to build the castle up, so you had to go out and get resources and then come bring it and then go bring them back to your castle and then build the castle up. That's why I played it. So I wasn't in it for the PvP at all. I was in it for the building content, doing that aspect of it. So I got ganked all the time. I got killed all the time. I lost my stuff all the time, and I never complained about it. I just went back to town and bought new stuff. I mean, what's the big deal about that? But the problem with that is after 3 months of doing that, I was done. I mean, it just got to a point where what's really the point? The game wasn't evolving. More people left the game than joined the game. It just became, again, it became a gank fest for most people that got their rocks off doing that. I never understood the appeal to that. And there's some people, PvPers, that will say that that they get an adrenaline rush because there's something at stake. But what adrenaline rush are you getting when you're a tweaker and you got all the best gear and you're running up to a level 5 guy and killing them? That just seems to me silly. How do you get an adrenaline rush stepping on ants? Go outside and step on ants then all day long if that's what you want to do. Go find a cockroach pile and step on those all day long, because that's the equivalent of what you're saying there. Is I'm a PvPer and I've got something to lose. No, you got nothing to lose when 98% of the odds are in your favor. May the odds ever be always in your favor. Well, that's how these PvP or gankers are about. And I'm not trying to crap on PvPers. I'm just saying that there's a small group of them that are like that. And I've never understood it. I guess I will never understand it. But I have seen many PvPers that were on my team, in my guild, that were respectful. They did a little ganking, but they weren't the foaming at the mouth, I've got to go kill somebody today kind of people. Again, those people I see in first-person shooters. And I do play first-person shooters. If I want PvP action, I'll go play a first-person shooter, or I'll go play Smite or something, or I'll go play Paladins, or other games of that kind of build, where it's all about just killing somebody and then the game's over and you start it up again. I enjoy the first-person shooter, and I do enjoy PvP, like Black Desert Online. I did enjoy Black Desert Online's PvP, and there was not that many gankers in that game. That was actually down to a minimum. You'd go out every once in a while, and somebody would gank you, which was like, haha, okay, cool. That's it wasn't out of control. It was all in fun. Those kind of PvPers, those are cool. They were always like, hey, I just had to do it kind of thing. And it was fun. But you get to the point where, at what point is it not fun anymore? And at what point do the PvP people push out a good majority of the player base, especially your crafters? Because that's the other thing you want to take into account for this game, New World, is you got to have crafters in the game. And if your PvPers are ganking them all day long while they're trying to gather and build stuff, they'll leave the game. That leaves the game empty for all new equipment when your crafters are like, yeah, this is getting old quick. So I think that's what they're trying to resolve with New World, is allow those people who really want to do the PvP, but do it in a way where the economy and the crafting and some of the PvE elements can stay together, so those people stay in the world. Because if you've only got a small portion in your world of players that enjoy the game, the world becomes stale. It's like, let's wait for the next thing that come out. And I've had games like that. Like Fallout 76 was like that. It was a beautiful game. There's a little ganking. It had mechanisms to balance it. It was a fun game. But what happened was there was some builds that you could make where you could just one-shot somebody even with the reduced damage mechanic. And people just fled. It was crazy how quickly people fled those servers. And now when you go into Fallout 76, it's like crickets. It's like you walk around, and I guess, those people who are hardcore into that game stayed. But I had at least 30 people I played with. Not one of them play that game anymore because of that. Because that mechanic, they couldn't seem to resolve some of the ganking that was happening. And that game had some other issues, some graphic issues, some mechanic issues, but more or less, if I go back and ask those people, why'd you leave the game? They're like, geez, I just wanted to have a survival type game where, not every 5 minutes I'd leave my base and somebody would kill me. I mean, or they were tweaking some of the mechanics of the game where they had full advantage and there was no point. So I just wanted to point some of this out. Again, this is not a video saying that I hate PvPers. I think they bring a lot to the table. I think they bring a lot of fun to the table. And I think in New World, they're going to be absolutely needed for siege battles, territorial battles, even when you go to get your influence, to generate influence. So those PvPers out there that are watching this video, I understand what you're saying. I've seen many MMOs. I've seen many games. And I'm hoping that this game can kind of settle down some of the hate rhetoric that's on the forums here about all these people that destroyed this game, like all the Care Bears that destroyed this game. I don't think the game got destroyed. I think the game went into a different direction, because I think Amazon saw other older kind of survival games kind of dropping down in population, and what they're trying to do is create a game that will be still around in a couple years. And I think you've got to cater to the Care Bears, and you've got to cater to the PvP people. But the question is how do you balance that? How do you get that balanced? And you're not gonna please everyone. There's always going to be that one person that says, you killed my game, it was supposed to be a survival game, it was supposed to be a full loot drop game, you killed my game, you killed my game, you killed my game. And there's no way you can talk to those people because they're just firm set into that. But the question being is, will they be there on day one? They probably will be there on day one. When the game finally released, that same person that was complaining that the Care Bears killed the game will be there, giving it a shot, seeing if it makes sense. And I have a feeling that it will. I have a feeling that full loot drop kind of thinking is in other games. Now, again, I know that this game was designed for that purpose alone. And I understand the reasoning why people are upset about the game being changed. But again, I think for longevity purposes, I think Amazon just believed that if they could get some PvE elements into the game, cater somewhat to the Care Bears, and then let the PvP people kind of figure out where they fit in the world, I think it will work its way out. But it might not. It might be a total crap show. Who knows? And I'm only trying to do this video to say that for me, I'm going to be there on day one. I'm going to be there doing the Care Bear stuff. I'm the Care Bear guy that they're complaining about. And I'm going to be playing it. And I usually play games easily for a few years before I might go to another game or try something else out. World of Warcraft, I played that for like 5 years, gave up on it when it kind of went off the rails. I went back to it for Classic. I enjoyed that for 8 or 9 months, and then I came to New World, and that's where I'm starting to do my New World content. So, take it for what it is. The game will release. The game, I think, will be fun. I think they've got the mechanics of the weaponry, the crafting. I think what we're waiting for is for them to develop some PvE content that actually is bug free. Some of the PvE content that they've mentioned, I can understand that there's probably some coding hurdles around it to make it work right. Some things that they didn't see that the alpha testers kind of broke or saw, an alpha tester saw a loophole and something didn't work right, and they're like, oh gosh, we got to go back and fix that. I think this delay is going to be helpful for this game. Even though people really want to play it today, I think this delay doesn't show that they're weak. I don't think this delay shows them they don't know what they're doing. I think I think two things are going on. Amazon Studios, or whatever you want to call yourself, tell people what's going on. That's all they want to know is what the heck is going on. Tell us. Don't say we're going to give you tidbits here and there. You might want to consider doing like a weekly schedule, saying let's give you a little bit of information weekly. But to be completely silent and wait till the beta's supposed to release to tell us the game's extended, you're going to get a lot of upset people just for that alone. So Amazon Studios, Amazon New World Gods, whatever you want to call yourselves, just tell us what's going on and tell it to us timely. Don't wait until the last. It's like a drowning person waiting for the last gulp of air. I mean, come on. I mean, that nobody likes that feeling, and you need to be honest with people, especially people that have low income who have bought your game, have pre-purchased your game, and their $40 is sitting in your shop, and they could be using it for something else, and you think it's all right to give them a little information every couple months. That to me is wrong. I think you guys really need to be more honest where you're at. I mean, every MMO I've ever played, there were devlogs like weekly, there were videos weekly, and I don't know if I think, you know, for the longest time I thought Amazon was trying to do the I got you thing, like we're going to make a perfect game, we're going to give you no information, we're going to drop the mic kind of moment, we're going to drop it to the marketplace, and it's going to be this beautiful, awesome, perfect game. And we did it without ever telling you guys anything about it because we wanted a mic drop moment. Well, guys, your mic drop moment was yesterday when you told your player base that you needed 2 more months to build the game that should have released in a month, right? I mean, come on. I mean, get it right, guys. Let people know what's going on, and I think your player base will return to you when you do release the game in August. Well, again, I don't need that much hate comments in my bucket below. I'm trying to be on both people's sides here. I'm trying to give you information that helps you understand that New World should be a really good game when it does come out. I appreciate you watching my videos, and this has been the Tarkis Zone.